Hey, I'm Matt. Today I want to show you 5 tools you didn't know you needed until now. The purpose of this video series is to show you some really cool tools, not that you need every single one, but to let you know what's out there and what they do. And if you're interested in any of the tools you see today, there'll be links in the description below so you can go check them out for yourself. Number 1 on the list is the Bridge City Toolworks UG1 Universal Gauge. This is probably one of the most multi-use tools you can have in your shop for layout. Let me show you. The UG1 can be a tri-square, it can be a protractor, it can be a depth gauge, it can be a height gauge, it can be a marking gauge, it can be a centering rule, it can be a flip standoff. It has a magnetic base. There's just tons and tons of ways to use this, and I'm going to show you most of them. First and foremost is the packaging. Look at this. This is from Bridge City and their next level packaging. It has a sleeve over the box, and then when you open the box, it's just really well made. And these tools are held in with a foam. If you wanted to keep the bottom of the box and use this as storage, it'd be a great way to store these safely. Now these come in right and left versions, and there's a reason why. For the most part, one of them is for a right tilt saw, so like a table saw that tilts to the right, and the other one's for the left tilt saw. I would recommend picking up both no matter what tilt saw you have, but if you're only going to get one, just pick the type saw you have, left or right tilt, and go with that gauge. One thing to note on the left and right versions, this is the left version, this is the right version. If you have a left tilt saw, you need the right version because the right version tilts to the left. And also this left version tilts to the right. So whichever version saw you have, pick the opposite of these. So left versus right, or just pick both of them up. My table saw is a left tilt saw. The blade goes to the left. This will help you set those angles perfectly accurate every single time. If you know that you need a 45-degree angle, this is going to go over to 45 and lock in. It has 2 locks, so a little thumb screw here that's going to secure it when you get it in position, and then this cam lock that's going to make sure it does not move. You'll also see this little piece that pushes down. That's a kickstand. What that does is when you lay this flat, that keeps this on balance. Everything's now perfectly flat. Whereas if you don't have that on there, then it'll lay unflat. Why do you need that? Let me show you. The kickstand is useful when you're trying to set the angle on, say, a miter gauge or any other type tool, and you just need this to lay flat while you get that setting. Once everything's set, then I know that I can take this, I trust this, and now I can look and make sure everything lines up, and it does, so I know that this is accurate and I can continue making my work cuts. One of the unique features of this layout tool is you'll see that it has 45s, so that it's showing you that it's going to do 45-degree miters. And then also if you're doing any of these shapes, it tells you the exact degree you're going to need for that many cuts. So if we're doing 5 cuts and we're trying to get that shape there, we can do that. I don't know the name of the shape, or I'd tell you. If we're doing, say, 2, 4, 6 cuts to get that shape, then that's the degree you're going to want, and so on. Also, down here for a 6-to-1 or an 8-to-1 dovetail joint, it's going to give you those degrees as well. On the bottom of the tool, you're going to notice that there's measurements in millimeters from 0 out to 60 each way. 0 to 60 on the right, and then again on the left. What that's for is to be able to quickly and easily find the center of a board. All we do is measure this one up. These are 53 on each side, and then once we're at 53, all we have to do is mark the 0, and then that is center of the board. It's that fast, it's that easy. This also has a marking gauge built in. You see it right here. We can move this either in a millimeter on the right or imperial on the left in 30 seconds, all the way up wherever you want. So if we wanted a 1-inch mark, we're going to move that up to a 1-inch. And then we'll be able to use that as a guide to mark our work. Once you get it set to that 1 inch, you're just gonna hold your pencil or your marking tool there. You just move the gauge while holding the line, and then you'll be able to mark a perfectly 1-inch line. If you're trying to match dados or mortise and tenon, anything like that, and you need to know how deep something is, it also has a depth gauge right here. All you gotta do is drop it in the hole and then tighten that thumb screw. It's gonna tell you exactly to the 30 seconds how deep that is. It has a dovetail design, so you can stick this in there and it's going to ride in that track perfectly without any play. Now you have a height gauge, so you can just move this up until the lines match up to the height you're wanting. I've got it set to 1 inch, and now all I have to do is use that as a depth gauge to set my saw blade height. You can also use the UG1 at the router table to set the height of those router bits, and on the handheld router to set the depth of those bits as well. This is probably my favorite gauge to set the depth of bits because of the length of the depth gauge itself, or the height gauge. It's so long that it goes all the way across almost any bit. You may notice that this has a I don't know what you call it, an indentation or a Z pattern to it on the blade. Let me show you what that's for. I think they thought of everything. That indentation or that slot allows you to get beside the drill bit so you can square up your table to the bit so you know you're getting those dialed in 90-degree cuts. A good example here is if I just throw this up against the bit, it almost looks square if you're not looking closely. But if you slide that in there, you can really see there's a gap right there that needs to be corrected, so I need to square this table up. You can also use this at the bandsaw to set the angle of your table so you get that awesome accurate cut on that angle. You can also use this as a regular square to check the square of your blades or the square of your fence. One thing to note about the UG1 is at 90 degrees fully collapsed. You would think that was 90 degrees if you go all the way and just tighten it up. It's actually about 2 degrees past 90. So you want to make sure and line up that mark at the 90-degree mark so you don't get any off measurements. However, on this end, the solid end that doesn't move, that is a perfect 90, and that's what I would use to use as a 90-degree angle or a 90-degree reference. Full disclosure, Bridge City did send me this set of gauges, and this video is sponsored in part by Bridge City Toolworks. These really are those tools you didn't know you needed until you got them. I find myself reaching for these all the time. You can use them to square up jointer fences. The blade's even thin enough that it goes between the teeth so you can actually square the blade up on the table saw. It's just a really, really good tool to have in the shop. Number 2 on the list are these WoodOwl Overdrive bits. They're specifically designed for cordless drills, and they drill a clean hole without tear out. That's their claim. Let's find out. I've set up a test. I'm going to use a regular drill bit, a Forstner bit, and then also the WoodOwl bit and see how much difference there is and how they perform drilling through 3/4 inch plywood. Regular bit, 3/4 inch plywood. Tore out coming through the back side. It also tore out on the front side, just a little. Now the Forstner bit. Whoa. It tore out really good on the back side. Now the WoodOwl bit. Whoa, wee! That is impressive. This is the back side. Forstner bit, regular bit even tore out a little, but the Owl Overdrive bit, the hole is as clean on the inside, a little cleaner and smoother actually, than the Forstner bit, just a super clean hole. Mike Taylor sent me these to give a try, and man, am I impressed. Maybe that was a fluke. Let's see what happens. I mean, just a smidgen. I mean, it is starting to show a tiny tear out, but nothing like what we saw earlier. No tear out on that one at all. I think the difference is how much pressure I'm putting. If I just let the bit do the work, we get these clean holes. I want to try the big boy, this one. We can call this one Big Hoss. Woo, super clean. You can tell when it goes through whether it's going to be a really clean hole or not just by the way it sounds and the way it pulls right through. And it pulls off these just really cool shavings. Impressed. I think one of the keys to a good clean hole with the Overdrive bits is to set the drill on a lower speed also. So the number 1 setting on this one has 2 speeds, low and high. And so the number 1 setting, I just tried to do that with a Forstner bit to see if that would also help, but it does not. It is just as bad, if not worse. Before we get to number 3, I have a very huge favor to ask of you. Just hit the subscribe button. That's it. I set a goal last year to make it to 500,000 subscribers by the end of this year, which is 2022. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. It helps me a ton. I want to reach my goal this year. I have 200,000 to go as of this point, so you could help me greatly. Number 3 on the list is a little tool I bought a few weeks ago, and I just keep reaching for it and reaching for it and reaching for it. It's the Woodpeckers Delve Square. I've looked at this square many, many times and debated whether do I need this, do I want this, would I use it? So it took me a while to actually decide to buy it. And when I did, I got it in the shop and I've just been super impressed with it. It's no secret that I'm a fan, or a fanboy as you may call me, of Woodpeckers tools. I just love their accuracy and their quality. This is made in the USA. It's all aluminum, anodized aluminum, and the markings are super easy to read. You'll notice that the blade is offset on that, and there's a reason for that. On 3/4 inch stock, you can lay that up there with the wide side of the blade, make a mark, flip it over. You can make the mark or you can double check it. That's the center of the board on all 3/4 inch stock. It's made for that. Short side of the blade, if you lay it against there and make your marks, you have a perfectly centered mortise and tenon layout for 3/4 inch pieces. There's holes drilled all the way from 1/8 of an inch all the way to 3 1/8 every 1/8. So if you wanted to lay out a mark for 1 inch, you just hold pressure that way, put your pencil in the hole, and then drag. Another very cool feature of this little drill, there's a hole right there. What is that? If we're pretending that's a face frame, you got a self-centering drill bit, check that out. That hole is exactly in the center of a 3/4 inch piece. Also, this bottom blade is exactly 1/4 inch thick, so you can use that as a reference. These blades are a 1/2 inch wide and an 1/8 inch thick, so you can use those as references as well. I love this little square. If you hang it anywhere close or set it anywhere close to where you're gonna be working, you're gonna pick that thing up all the time. These are radius jigs you can use on the router table, and if you make cutting boards or charcuterie boards, these make quick work of those ends just to give it that nice finished look. What's great about these is there's a set of 3, but you get 6 different radiuses because there's 2 on each side. You can see here, hook it in like that, and then if you flip it over, you get the other side. You can make it a sharper radius. The radiuses on these are 3/8 inch, 9/16, 3/4, 1 inch and 3/16, 1 inch, and 1 inch and 3/8. So you get a wide variety from a sharp corner to a really long rounded corner. On this board as an example, I was showing you a tight radius versus a longer radius. Whatever side's facing down has 2 tabs on there that hooks into the board, so it's secure against it, and you can just ease it into that template bit. It'll follow right along. I got a little burning because I was going really slow, and this is curly maple or quilted maple, so it's more prone to burning than most woods. Last but certainly not least, any woodworker anywhere at some point you're going to need some type of flush trim saw. This is the one I recommend. It's actually a dovetail saw. Let me show you. When doing different types of joinery, sometimes you will need to hide a screw hole and you're going to need to fill it. Like right here, we have a screw in this hole, and I want to cover that because I don't want that screw showing at the final piece. 3/8 inch hole, 3/8 inch dowel. Stick that in there. Take your flush trim saw. What I like about this one is it has a coarse and a fine. Now we can take a sander and sand that flush, and it'll just have that screw covered. There's several different styles of these available. There's some less expensive ones like this Comelon. It's got an angled handle. This one's worked well. I've had it for several years. It cuts a little bit rougher than the others, and it doesn't stay as sharp as long. What I like about these is they fold down out of the way, so they take up less space, as well as it protects that blade from getting damaged. I like to hang mine on the wall, but they've been living in the drawer for years, so they survive well in there as well. There's 2 different kinds like this. This has a blade on each side, the fine and the coarse, like I showed you before. And then there's one that just has a one-sided blade, and it has fine teeth on it. Also, these blades are replaceable. You could just pick up a new blade when this one wears out. I don't only use these to flush cut dowels. I use these on almost every project when I have just a little bit of trim sticking over the edge of something, or I just need to make a small cut. These are extremely handy to have, and they make such a fine cut, there's very little finishing to do after you're through cutting. If you're looking for your first flush trim saw, or you want to upgrade what you have to a better model, I highly recommend these Suizan, S-U-I-Z-A-N. They're highly rated, and I've had these for probably over a year, and I've used them a ton. If you don't have a saw like this, pick one up, and the first time you need it, you're gonna have it, and you're gonna say, "Thank you, Matt Outlaw." And I'm gonna hear you, and I'm gonna say, "You're welcome." If you don't want to subscribe, I'm curious to know what stops you. Just for it'd be my eyes only. If you'll use the link in the description, it goes to my website contact form, and that email comes directly to me, and it's gonna let me know what your thoughts are on subscription and why you don't subscribe to channels, even if it's not this one. I'd be curious to know. If you like this video, you'll love this 5 tools right there. Click that box, get you the big old virtual fist bump. Also, 5 tools under $30, save you a little money right there.